Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Football Chatbox. My name is Ryan, and welcome to the quarterfinals match day 5 best players you can get video. If you have a wildcard chip or you don't have a wildcard chip, whichever way, I will let you know how you can get some good players for match day 5. Now, first of all, for those of you who have a wildcard chip, here's a question on whether you should or should not play a wildcard chip in matchday 5. If you, in my case, like looking at my current team, I've got 3 players who are not available, and I have 3 free transfers that I can use to try and fix it. I add to that, I also have a minutes risk player in Schlotterbeck. So I have 4 players in total, that 3 not available and 1 minutes risk. Now, in this situation, I am still willing to play the 3 free transfers instead of using my wild card and wait and see, because Germany versus Spain is the first game. Wait and see what happens to Schlotterbeck. Even if he doesn't start, I'm happy in this specific situation to just keep him, because he might come off the bench and play a minute or two. But I'm willing to take that 1 pointer compared to maybe taking a hit and making a transfer on that specific player. You have to also look into your team. If you have, maybe you are missing a goalkeeper, but you have 1 goalkeeper, right? And you have 3 other positions that you also need to fix. Maybe you just don't make a transfer on a goalkeeper and you fix the other 3 positions, because the other 3 positions, the chances of you getting points from that are slightly higher compared to maybe a goalkeeper, because the goalkeeper, the ceiling is quite low. So think about those situations. Obviously, if half your squad is out, you probably need to play a wildcard chip. But those are the situations where I would play or not play my wildcard chip. The reason I'm specifically not playing is because the quarterfinal bracket, as you can see, is quite hard to predict. So because of that reasons, I am not playing my wildcard chip, and I would like to keep it for the semifinals once we have a better idea of who has actually made through, because a lot of games are 50-50 in my opinion. Having said that, let's get into the best players you can get for the quarterfinals. Now, the best fixture to target, I think, would be the Netherlands versus Turkey fixture. I would start with that. Let's start with Netherlands as a team to look and try and get. For me, up front, I've got Gakpo. Gakpo is probably the best Dutch player that you can try and get. His form is incredible right now. I would definitely look at getting him in. In terms of midfield, if you want a midfield player, I would probably look at Javi Simmons. 7 million price option, not too bad actually. And then in defense, I have 2 players that I can give you. One being Nathan Ake, and the other being Virgil van Dijk. Depending on who you want to go, I think Van Dijk has more ball recoveries and also added goal threat compared to Nathan Ake, so I would probably prefer Van Dijk if you have the budget. And if you're playing a wild card, obviously then Verbruggen needs to be mentioned in terms of a goalkeeper option from the Dutch. So I would look at those 3. I mentioned 3 defensive players, like 2 defenders, 1 goalkeeper, 1 midfielder, and 1 forward. I don't think I would go for Memphis Depay, even though he might be on penalties. I still probably wouldn't go there. I like Gakpo slightly more than Memphis Depay. The next fixture I would look at is, I think, probably England versus Switzerland. Now, this one is actually a very 50-50 game. In my opinion, I think it's the Swiss should be, based on form, the favorites. But let's look at England first. Harry Kane and Jude Bellingham are the 2 players that I think you can get in, and they might get you a goal potentially. I am at this moment, I slightly favor Jude over Kane because of like ball recoveries, and you get an extra point for a midfielder if they keep a clean sheet, which is probably very likely. This game could go to like extra time as well and go to penalties. It could be 0-0 and go all the way to penalties as well, and I won't be surprised. So just because Bellingham tends to get a few more extra points, so that I would go for Bellingham over Kane. But those are my 2 options. And then a lot of you might have Guehi like myself, and you're looking for a replacement. You can go for an English defender if you wanted to. And if you wanted to, I think John Stones is probably the one that I would look at. If you have your wildcard and you're looking to play for a semifinal and you just want a defender who's going to be replacing Guehi and you want a cheap one, I think Konsa is the one who's going to be coming in for Mark Guehi and going to be playing. So if you want to go there, that is one possibility, but we don't know for certain, and you won't know before the deadline as well. So Stones is probably the most safer option. I don't think I would go anywhere else in terms of English players. I wouldn't even look at any other midfielders or forwards for that matter. Goalkeeper, if you already have Pickford, you keep Pickford, fine. But from that side of the bracket, I prefer Verbruggen at the moment over Pickford just because of the fixture. I should also mention Turkey. There are a couple Turkish players that should be mentioned. One, for example, Kalnaglu is back from suspension, which should increase Turkey's chances in this game as well. Apart from him, Arda Güler definitely needs to be mentioned just because he's doing pretty well for Turkey. 12 points in the first one. Didn't play the second one for some reason. Third match day, he got only a point, but 1 assist in the match day 4, so not a bad option. Demiral scored 2 set piece goals. Can he redo that again against a defensively very strong, or at least player wise, they have pretty good tall players in the Dutch team? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But probably worth a mention, although I still probably wouldn't go there. That's the only players from Turkey. From Switzerland, there are a couple of players that I would mention. Defensively, Akanji is pretty good. If you think it's going to be a 0-0 and go all the way to penalties, good option to go and get. Really good on ball recoveries as well. And there were 2 attackers that I'll mention. Vargas definitely needs a mention. Had a really good game in the last one. Assist and a goal and man of the match. Freuler is another player who's had a pretty decent campaign so far. So one to kind of mention. He's more of a midfield player. Central midfield player. Abhishek tends to play as a wing wide player. Got an assist in the last game. Started off really good in match day 1 as well. And obviously Embolo or NDI. I think Embolo is the forward spot, but I don't think I would go there for a forward spot. So Vargas, Freuler, and Akanji are my main 3. I would mention Abhishek also. If you're looking for like absolute budget and you don't have money, then that's the player I would go for. So those are the fixtures from Switzerland. Let's go to Spain versus Germany because this game might have goals. And at the moment, it's a very 50-50 game for me. Some are saying Germany because of the home nation thing, and I can see that. But I think Spain also tend to score a lot of goals. So let's start with Spain. Nico Williams, definitely for a midfield pick for me. And the other one is Yamal. Now, Yamal hasn't really gone double digits in any of the games, but the amount of chances he had in the last game, he should have been on double digits. The amount of chances he had, just coming away with 1 assist was just criminal. Like, he had so many chances against Georgia. So I'll definitely mention those 2. In defense, Cucurella is a ball recovery decent, like pretty good in ball recovery. So even if they do concede, he's not a bad option to have. And obviously Fabian Ruiz as well, I should mention. Match day 1 did well. Match day 4 also did well. Will play close to 90 minutes if possible. Carvajal is the more attacking of the fullbacks, but obviously less ball recoveries compared to Cucurella. That's basically the Spanish players. Unai Simon, if you have in goal, it's fine. But this game, I don't think that neither team is keeping a clean sheet. Very unlikely, to be honest. The Germans, let's move to them, shall we? Now, Germany, a lot of you might already have Musiala as a really good option. I like him as well. Rudiger is one who is most likely definitely going to play. I think Jonathan Tah will be back, but we'll know by the deadline time. So if you have a wildcard and you remove him off and you're looking to bring him back, you can know by the deadline. If he does come back, pretty decent on ball recoveries in most cases. So one to kind of keep an eye out for. And then obviously Kai Havertz will play up front. Regardless of the Füllkrug rumors, I think Kai Havertz will play up front. If you have Füllkrug, I think there's probably a case to be made to maybe remove him. For a hit, it's a slightly different story because there is a chance that he still comes off the bench and he's very capable of scoring. But Kai Havertz is the player I would go for. Gundogan, I don't really like, to be honest, just because I'm not playing the wildcard. It's the reason I'm keeping him in there. He doesn't have penalties as well. Now Kai Havertz is the one he's taken the last 2 Kai Havertz. So I don't really like Gundogan that much. And Florian Wirtz, if he does start, is an option. So we'll have to wait and see whether he does start. Obviously 9 minutes in the match day 4, match day 1 and match day 2, match day 3 didn't do too much. The problem with Wirtz is that he tends to get subbed a bit more earlier than Musiala. So I do prefer Musiala overall. But yeah, that is my German options. If you have Mittelstadt, I don't think he'll start again. I think Raum will play the fullback spot, and Raum did pretty well as well in the last game. So if you have Mittelstadt, you probably would want to switch that defensive option, but you will get the lineups before the deadline so that you can wait and see. Now, that's Germany. Let's go into Portugal versus France. This is the most harder game. I won't be surprised if this also like goes to extra time because both teams haven't been firing. I slightly favor Portugal over France just because France got 2 own goals and 1 penalty basically from Mbappe that they've scored. They haven't scored anything else. So I do favor Portugal. If Ronaldo actually like the chances he was getting in the previous game, if he can actually put them in this game and he gets the same amount of chances which France are capable of giving, then I do favor Portugal slightly, just on the edge. So, but let's look at the Portuguese players to target. I like Nuno Mendes as an option, very attacking, pretty good on ball recoveries as well, but very close with Cancelo. So if you want to save some money over Cancelo, Nuno Mendes is a pretty good option. So 1 million cheaper, that's pretty good. Pepe as well, ball recoveries monster, will start as well. He played almost the entire extra time as well, so you definitely know he's going to play for a long time in this game. Question is, will he be able to keep up with the pace of Mbappe? We'll have to wait and see. So, but I still like Pepe as an option. Bruno Fernandes obviously didn't get any assist or anything, but like he will continue to create chances. So I do like Bruno Fernandes still. And even though Ronaldo hasn't scored a single goal yet, I do like him as an option still for this game. But if you were to ask me, would he be my top 3 forwards? Maybe it's very close. I'll have Gakpo and I'll have Mbappe. We'll get to Mbappe. And then it's between Ronaldo, Yamal, Harry Kane, Kai Havertz. Like those are the kind of where I'm like looking and going, ooh, Ronaldo hasn't really done much compared to maybe a Kai Havertz or even a Yamal, to be honest, or even a Harry Kane. So it won't really be on that high list, but I'm happy to keep him. For me, if you want to look and sell him, I don't mind that as well, because I think, like I mentioned, a few other forwards, I think they're better than him as well in terms of what they've done so far in the tournament. I know he hasn't scored yet, but I think it's coming. I don't know. I just have a feeling it's coming. And if you want a left field punt, an extremely differential punt, Bernardo Silva. But very differential, and it's a punt. You sometimes get the hauls like matchday 2, but otherwise you get results like matchday 1 and matchday 4 as well. So keep that in mind. That's Portugal. Let's get into France. France, I think defenders are the players you want to look at. Mbappe, I think I still probably will have. He will get a couple chances against Pepe. This is where I was like wondering Pepe's age versus and his experience versus Mbappe's pace. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But defensively, I like Koundé, who will play, and Saliba. Saliba also really good ball recoveries. If you're short on like 0.5, then go for Koundé, but Saliba also pretty good. And if you have the goalkeeper, it is fine. Same with Costa as well. If you have the goalkeepers, this is where goalkeepers, like I prefer Verbruggen probably for this one because it's more likely to go to semis over Pickford in this bracket. And between the quarterfinals, honestly, this is a coin flip in terms of which goalkeeper you're going for. You just have to like wait and see, right? You just hope that Verbruggen goes through, so you have at least one goalkeeper in the semis. The rest is like, it's hard to tell from this side of the bracket. So flip a coin is what I would say in terms of the goalkeeper. If you're playing a wildcard, if you're not, completely fine. If you don't have a wildcard as well, hope for the best with the goalkeepers that you currently have. That's basically it, actually. France as well. I wouldn't really go for any other players from France. Obviously, Rabiot is also suspended. That will make a difference in their midfield as well. And it seems like they haven't clicked yet. France still haven't clicked. They haven't found a system that they really want to play. So we're going to have to wait and see what exactly happens, which is why I'm only suggesting those 3 French players and obviously the goalkeeper. Theo Hernandez as well, I would add probably in there as the attacking fullback. But because ball recovery plays a key part in this game as well, Saliba and Koundé take the edge. But yeah, that's basically it. Let me know what your thoughts are and whether that helped you in terms of like some of the players that you would want to look at. For me personally, I still think maybe Germany edge Spain, but if Germany don't turn up, Spain do tend to score a lot of goals. So I see that as a high goal scoring game out of all of these quarterfinals. I do think Netherlands will beat Turkey. I'm going to edge Portugal to beat France and England to beat Switzerland. Although if Gareth Southgate goes back to his like very like playing Gallagher and Declan Rice in midfield and no width on the left with Foden still on the left, no Trippier on the left, I think the Swiss might edge it if that happens. So we'll see what happens. But thank you all for watching. Make sure to hit the like button. If you reached up to this point, hit that subscribe button as well. And I will see you all tomorrow for a deadline stream 1.5 hours before the deadline. And then we'll do a watch along for Spain versus Germany as well. Thank you. And I will hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow.